Complexity Gaming versus virtus.pro.
Game one then, as we head into the lower bracket. Remember, the loser of this one is done, and they are removed from the International for another year. 11 months of hard work comes to an end in the chase for the Aegis. The winner, however, will continue on towards the trophy. We are into the draft for game one.
Heading into it, Complexity will be the ones with the first pick going in. So Swindle Melons is going to start out by banning out the Shadow Fiend. Pretty interesting first ban, actually. Not very common that he gets banned in the first two.
I think Lina is actually going to be a pretty high priority. I think teams have actually figured out that Complexity utilizes Lina very well. I think they won like 5 of 6 of their games in the group stage with it, and EG actually banned it in the first phase versus them. virtus.pro hasn't had as much success with it.
Exactly, like EG banned it first phase in one of the games, and they picked it themselves in the other game. So definitely try to deny that from Complexity. See if VP on the same track there.
So the main difference right now with the draft and the game virtus.pro had to play so far is that Silencer was first face banned by Fnatic on day 1, and now it's available from them to grab. And one thing that sometimes happens with teams that when people start first banning a hero they think you're good with, you end up thinking you're better than you actually are with. You know, you feel like grabbing it instantly because you couldn't play it when you wanted it. So we might see a very early Silencer pick from virtus.pro. It's not sure at all, but it could happen.
Yeah, but Silencer is one of those heroes that you want to pick it in the right situation. It doesn't really work very well all the time. He's a very situational niche pick, so sometimes picking it too early might not be the best scenario. But then again, you can always transition it to a support position. So
yeah.
I think picking him in the first 2 is always a mistake, I believe, because then the enemy can play around that, as you guys mentioned as well. I think you should draft it in the second or last phase. Gyrocopter, first pick from Complexity. No bounty hunted in this game. Pretty common ban just because of the fighting meta that we're really seeing here. Tusk and Lesh, no surprises really so far.
would you guys be seeing virtus.pro going for early Lina as well? You guys were mentioning like virtus.pro likes to go for the Lina, and Lina is like one of the few heroes that are slightly better against Gyro in general during team fights.
Yeah, but since they picked up the Queen, I guess they will skip it, because you very rarely see those 2 heroes together. So I guess they will just pass over the Lina, but Complexity should happily grab that, I think.
There's still Naga, too.
I would have loved to see it, though. The Laguna Blaze is great against Gyrocopter for a very long port of the game.
I think Complexity and Phoenix were the 2 teams that ran carry Naga, I think, actually a lot in the group stage. One of the MVPs.
What can be said about the co-op for virtus.pro is that they're one of those teams that they almost never run co-op position 1 on Illidan. Like, it's something they do very barely, so it's gonna be most likely gonna be a co-op mid from G, and he's ultra aggressive with it.
Yeah, they have G, like he's a beast on Queen of Pain. He likes the aggressive heroes where he can really take over the game, and he will do so. If he gets the slight edge on the laning phase, the game can quickly escalate.
It's quite funny, actually. God has the most games on Queen of Pain, 57.
Yeah,
so
he
may well
co-op.
be him.
He plays co-op so much.
Yeah.
He's such a great co-op player, and he's also very aggressive in his one-on-one. And he's God is one of those players, you know, he's gonna force the issue and push it to the limits, and you often end up with a one-on-one kill, either in his favor or he dies. But he's ultra aggressive mid.
He's a highly talented player. Like, I remember 5, maybe 6 years ago, he was playing competitively back then, and my team was looking at him and saying, this is probably the best mid player right now. And he's always been stable, just that maybe he's not the best one right now. He's definitely still a top player, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting they've taken the Winter Wyvern as well, because FNG has already been quoted as saying it's the best. He thinks he's the best on that hero.
He was the first to bring it. I remember the first scrims between the top teams after Winter Wyvern was the Lord and Captain's mode. virtus.pro were the only team picking it, and he was first picking. We had an afternoon of like 6-7 games, and it was like the day after the patch, and he first picked it in the 7 games. So he was like, that hero is insane, and I'm gonna bring it into the competitive scene, and he did it.
And that also means that he has a good understanding of how the hero can work, but also the weaknesses. That's something you learn when you spam a hero like that. So going up against it, they will know how to use that as well.
If you were Complexity and you had to face G in the mid lane, are you going to ban out Quap or SF? I mean, he's played Quap a lot, but I think it's actually because SF is better.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick here between both of them. But I mean, the good thing for him and his team when they have SF is that they do have a game plan after his dominance. You know, they just group up and do. So I guess the co-op is less scary in a way, but it still is quite scary.
I mean, it still suits him as a player. Like, he's so aggressive. Like, wouldn't you feel like a Queen of Pain would actually suit his character in the laning phase?
No, it really does. It really does.
I think the danger is like if G can win his lane or at least do really well and play a Shadow Fiend or something semi-carry like this, and Illidan has a good game, then you're really scared going into the mid game. So they're saying, okay, you're a good aggressive player, we know that. You're gonna play some aggressive hero, we know that too if we ban out the Shadow Fiend, and then let's play around that. So
they must have expected G to like play the co-op
definitely.
that situation for sure. He doesn't get Leshrac because he's insanely good on Leshrac as well. But I mean,
being good at Leshrac though is, I mean, he is good at it, but any mid player can stomp with Leshrac. I feel he's just very over.
The Darkseer ban by Complexity is really strange, especially when they have Winter Wyvern.
I mean, VP have the first pick, and it's team fight composition versus team fight composition. So Darkseer could be very good on both sides. And talking about when to pick the Silencer, Silencer is really good against team fight focused lineup. So
Definitely.
it could be a good pickup here.
And the good thing about Silencer as well and how they use them, he's such a strong laner as well. He's extremely strong. You know, you're an offlaner and you have to face the Silencer. He's very strong because his orb attack, the glaives, they don't mess with the lane control. So he can just zone you and you will never get experience unless you can actually tank his harass, but you just can't tank his
I mean,
harass.
probably the only few offlaners that can actually survive that is something like Clock.
Yeah.
The most of the offlaners just has a very hard time against that. Well,
That's a very early Phoenix
team
pick.
fight.
Very interesting.
Maybe they're trying to deny it because Complexity might want to go for the double bird combination we saw yesterday, the Phoenix plus.
But they
Wyvern.
could easily just pick Silencer.
Yeah, on the same.
I think
on that note as well.
I think even if you have Silencer though, the team fight is just too dangerous. Sure, you can try and time it to silence, but if you go into a team fight with that, Winter Wyvern, Phoenix, and Gyrocopter, it's very dangerous.
I mean, it
when
can't be a
the
deny
beat
pick,
comes up.
though. Like, Phoenix Egg just gets owned by Naga. They're very likely to pick Silencer. I wouldn't be scared of a Phoenix pick at all if I were virtus.pro.
But I'm not sure they play Phoenix so much, virtus.pro. Like, I'm not sure on that one, but I haven't seen them run the Phoenix so much.
Is this like the first time in the event as well? I
No.
don't think.
It's number 6.
No, I mean for Virtus Pro.
virtus.pro, I
Virtus.pro,
think it is.
yeah.
Okay.
It should be their first pick for this tournament.
Yeah, it's a while since I saw him play it. I can't remember if they played it at DreamHack, maybe, but I've seen them play it, but it's a long time ago.
So it has to be on DK Phobos, right?
Yeah, more or less. It's kind of hard to expect a support Phoenix since no one ever has done that for a long time, and I feel pretty weak to do it on support. So it has to be on an off lane position.
Bristleback!
Oh, Bristleback gets brought in by Complexity, so adding a little bit of tank in front line here, making Gyrocopter a little bit. He can go even more into the hard damage build now and not necessarily go into so much. You don't need the Sanshuyasha BKB rush maybe, but you can be more greedy for your damage.
I mean, he's one of the better field heroes as well with dealing with the egg because he can tank the damage and he has better attack speed than most of the heroes. So I think he's one of the better field heroes against the egg in general.
He also hits really hard. If Queen of Pain plays aggressively before she has any armor item next to a Bristleback, she can quickly take a lot of damage.
This has to be a pocket strat from virtus.pro. I feel like at least the Phoenix pick because I don't think they play Phoenix at all.
Yeah, I don't remember them picking this hero at all.
They played it 3 times only. I'm gonna check which matches.
Do you
that is.
actually think they're gonna go Phoenix, like Trend Protector, and run the Naga as a core this game? Is that possible?
That could be. FNG loves his Street Protector,
Like,
and
it's really weird though. Something must be going on, like something different.
Definitely. It feels like something's up for virtus.pro.
It could be. It could also just be that they are trying to bring back the support Phoenix. We have seen it in the past. It had mixed results. I don't know. That's definitely gonna be a nice addition though. Having the Razor against Gyrocopter.
And
is
even
really
the Bristol as well.
And against Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last time they played Phoenix was at DreamHack, Dream League's finals, and it was on DK Phobos. And since then they haven't run it at all.
That was like 2 months ago, though, right?
Yeah,
Over
it
2
was.
months.
Yeah. It's a while ago.
Yeah, so definitely right now the Naga is cemented as a support by showing the Razor. I don't think the Naga will be more of a core.
It's
Less
a pretty
likely
good
now.
combination though, because Naga, both the net and the ulti
Song, yeah.
work really well with the static link from Razor. And you can also set up the team fights a lot more. Complexity gonna go for the Wisp play here.
That's a very risky Wisp pick because you're facing so much AoE damage. Like the co-op, the Phoenix Egg, the Razor Blast, the Wisp is just gonna explode in every fight.
I think the other reason of the Wiz is like whenever if you do Bristleback on the off lane, you want the Bristleback to get farm. He's not a hero that you want to just sack at all the time. You want Bristleback to get strong in the laning phase and become a dominating force in team fights. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to actually give some attention towards the Bristleback.
And Wisp Bristle is one of those lanes that's quite scary, especially versus heroes that don't have reliable disables, and Razor is one of them. You can easily die to a Wisp Bristle if you're Razor.
Yeah. So right now, virtus.pro is going to be looking for their final support pickup to combine with the Naga. We've seen teams do CM plus Naga a lot, but do you guys think that that's a combination that they will be doing here?
Witch Doctor or Disruptor, I think, seems a little bit more likely.
Yeah, against the relocate.
I have to say, I still like the Treant Protector a lot. I think it's still a great pick for them.
Yeah, with the Phoenix, definitely you
And
you can't always like forget about that when you're playing against Phoenix.
then they can play dual lanes, you know, also Razor, Co-op, they're very strong laners. You don't really need strong support to help them.
It's a great pick. I think that could also force the Gyrocopter into something unconventional, like a Manta-style build, just to get out of the overgrowth.
Exactly.
I think it's a good pick here, and it synergizes well with the lineup, of course, when you have Queen of Pain, Phoenix.
Phoenix Treant Protector is one of the best combos you can get with Phoenix. It's
Oh, it is.
easily one of the best, if not the best. And it's also great versus Wisp because it gives you a lot of scouting, and it's gonna be a Bane, which is they opted for a stronger laner,
lanes,
yeah.
I think. Bane works very well with Razor. Again, like you talk about the ensnare and now the sleep into the static link.
They have a lot of control for that Bristleback. When you have Bane and Naga, those two supports, first of all, they're very tanky, they're very fast, they do a lot of damage, and they're great BKB counters, both of them. So they're great late game supports.
We've seen Bane used as like a soft counter to Winter's Curse too. We've seen that a decent amount. It like can mitigate like half of the duration, which I think is pretty good, but very, very situational.
He sleeps the target, or?
Yeah, he sleeps the target.
That's interesting.
I think Complexity needs like some sort of disruptive stuns with their mid hero. Maybe Puck would deal with the Bane and the Phoenix. They need like some sort of silence stun. They don't have much reliable apart from the ultimate from Wyvern. So you need something else to relocate into, you know, so it's easier for the team to play around the relocate.
And usually when you play versus Co-op and you have a Phoenix offlane, I mean, as the Complexity mid player, it's a bit scary because what Phoenix offlane does, if he can't get XP, he just dives mid.
Yeah, it's just
he
like an
just-
Earthshaker off.
Yeah,
Pressure
exactly.
towards the middle lane.
He's gonna pressure the mid laner, and when you face Co-op,
Spirit.
that Storm could be in huge troubles if the Phoenix just roams on him with the Co-op.
We see Complexity huddle up, get ready and get hyped. VP looking pretty ready already, so okay. Interesting drafts from both teams. Can't really say one has an edge.
I think both of us are very, very solid.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. We are going to head down to the key arena now for our first series of the day, which means joining our commentary team. Please give a warm round of applause for Cinneren and Toby One.
Complexity looking to hit hard. virtus.pro, they look cool, calm, and collective this morning.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting series. I think, for me, one of the least predictable ones going into today. We've had so many surprises at this point in this tournament. I don't know if there's any predictable series anymore. But these two teams have shown some great games. They've also shown some weaknesses here and there. Of course, worth pointing out yesterday, Complexity had a great start against Evil Geniuses. I think with the right decision-making in that game, realistically probably should have taken game one.
Yep.
Game two did not go so well for them. So we'll see if they can find the momentum today. virtus.pro, they were pretty convincing in their last match. So
Yeah,
it's going to be
they
very
weren't
interesting.
really pressured in their last game. Like, Fnatic didn't really test virtus.pro, push them to the limits.
Not particularly.
Complexity had the harder matchup, we can say.
Absolutely.
But you are right, Complexity, they showed that they came with a plan, and it worked really nicely until they just hit that wall of getting up into the tier 3 tower and taking out a Rax. It seems like they got more abilities for pickoffs and push power with this lineup from Complexity.
Worth noting, though, is that statistically, Complexity should win this game because they have Gyrocopter. It's really that simple. So in the main event so far, Gyrocopter is 6-2. And yesterday, one of Gyrocopter's losses was, unfortunately for Cloud9, after about a 20,000 lead. So you could say, in a way, Gyrocopter should have actually been 7-1. But they did end up losing that game because of, you know, in part their own mistakes, but also incredible play from Vici Gaming in that first game to come back in that with their Spectre draft. So if Complexity get off to a good start, I feel like Gyrocopter is just one of those heroes that takes over a game as a carry more than any other. And well, speaking of a good start, they might get it.
Yeah, bottom lane of VP were trying to contest for the rune. The Nightmare went on the Storm Spirit, but now with Rocket Barrage, Illidan's in a lot of trouble. Complexity looking to spill first blood. There's no Nightmare here from Lil, and the attack coming in from Gyro will take the first blood. Complexity off to a great start against VP once again.
This is the hero you really don't want to give first blood to, but it just happens way too often. Simply, you know, the Rocket Barrage is one of the absolute most powerful level 1 abilities in the game, especially for rune fights as in mid lane. This duo lane is going to be really interesting. I think VP have the upper hand here for sure with this duo. Between Naga Siren and Queen of Pain, there's really not that much counterplay potential from Complexity's duel lane.
They're already pushing Swindermelon is down so low, he doesn't have bottle. In fact, Swindermelon is in a horrendous position. Speaking of horrendous position, Lil, again, being burnt out of his life as well. But Swindermelon only has one shared tango left. He's a long way away from the bottle and can't get close enough to God to really contest the lane. And Naga knows this. That's why FNG already moved down to bottom lane. They start with a Nightmare, and Z-Free's going to be in a little bit of trouble. They're preparing for the tether up so they can try and catch him, but they couldn't prepare that far. Not to the tier 1 tower.
This is the problem that VP's safe lane has, which I think is what made Complexity run this dual lane offlane, is that, well, there's no stun for our IO. They can Nightmare that zone, so IO can actually safely walk out and scout. Try to take as much control as possible. G in the middle lane looking for Fly, almost getting killed off here by Swindle, has to blink back out. But he's 1-on-2 and he's playing aggressively. This is very unusual to see. You know, Swindle does get his bottle, however. So he's up to 5 CS, same as God.
There's that point where Fly is kind of a little annoyed with the start which happened in the lane, primarily because he had to use his Cold Embrace over on Swindle to try and bring him back to life. And that meant when God got a little aggressive underneath the tier 1 tower, there's nothing that could really be done about it. So he has to be careful when that timing, like, you don't want to always use it defensively. One other lane which we haven't talked about is top lane, where we have Phoenix going up against a Bristleback. And right now, it looks like Phobos is in a really good position. Stick nice and early on. Actually, bottom lane is where they're initiating in. And this will be real trouble for the Gyrocopter on bot lane. It's going to be Wisp actually dying, and soon the Gyrocopter will actually not be joining him. He gets back in range of the tier 1 tower.
This is how VP want to catch them. They want to Nightmare after Tether has been used, because then IO has no escape at all and will be a very easy pick-off for them. They do get it there on the Bane. But yeah, as you said, the top lane, I would say this is a lane Phoenix should win. Playing against any sort of melee hero, Phoenix is generally incredibly strong. There are exceptions like Broodmother, but she's kind of in her own category. It's very easy to hit Fire Spirits because the enemy's movement pattern will be very predictable when it comes to last hitting. Then you can hit 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 Fire Spirits on the same creep wave, and ultimately you just drain the regen from your opponent. Once you get ahead, you can of course choose to dive in on top and play very aggressively on it. Bottom lane again, static link.
Yeah, this time around, though, Complexity brought in a little bit more help. So the Winter Wyvern does trigger off the Arctic Burn and try and chase out to FNG, but FNG is really tanky, 6 armor, and that is a level 1 Rocket Barrage from the Gyro, doing little to no damage against him. If he did commit any further, you have to be careful about the Bane. Now, Bane doesn't have a lot of mana on him, so if you're looking for both Nightmare as well as Brain Zap in this next engagement, it's probably not going to come. In fact, Nightmare probably won't even be an option either, which is not really what VP want, as Razor does have that nice little combo with him. But they're just keeping tabs. This aggro tri-lane now from Complexity is trying to force them out.
It's worth noting how much VP are actually out farming them right now, and just in terms of raw lane farm. 20 on the Quap, 16 on the Razor, and 15 on Phoenix. They're leading all 3 lanes by quite a bit here. This offlane aggressive dual lane Gyro has not really worked out the way they imagined. After getting first blood, hardly accomplished anything down here. Ziz.
Top lane, Umiad is actually not too healthy. I thought Phobos might give it a crack by diving in and maybe with a couple of extra sprites, but in fact, he just plays a bit more passively. Having those 8 stick charges just means he could all of a sudden catch that Bristleback on the back foot.
So, bottom lane.
Looks like we might have something shaping up here. This 3-on-3 situation. There's no engage just yet here from VP. If they try for this, they will.
That's that Nightmare into the stealing of damage, and they keep the Nightmare over. You might tether away on Io, but you've lost 98 now, 112 points of damage into the Razor. He needs one attack into the Gyro, can't reach him. You actually need two at this case.
This is one of those situations where you wish you had phase boots on Razor. And we see players sometimes prioritize phase, sometimes prioritize treads. I think treads get picked up more often than phase nowadays, but of course, phase boot's really great for staying on target with your static link. But of course, you do sacrifice some tankiness, and Razor is a lot about being that frontline tank who's hard to bring down. Tread switching is also great for using Plasma Field, so definitely has its benefits in this hero.
Don't worry, everyone. It was just a normal denial from the Naga to get herself back a little bit quicker. As we go 3-2 now on the board, 5 minutes in. It really is a very passive start to a game. I know we've had 5 kills in 5 minutes. That's obviously a nice little beginning, but right now I'm looking for the timing over on Queen of Pain as well as the Storm Spirit. Queen of Pain already a full level ahead of Swindle, and God knows this. He knows he can just zone out the Storm Spirit. He's got Sonic Wave available with that Scream, and Swindle's very, very low. At the same time, God gets to bling himself away. He's got 3 bottle charges as well as the 4 1 charges, and he'll walk himself out. Didn't even want to use that blink of his, because he knows if he blinks to Scream to ulti, he'll kill Swindle right now, and that's exactly what he's looking for. Scream, ulti, and the Cold Embrace. It's not enough. Bane comes in with the Brain Sap, ensures the kill, and now even the Bristleback looking to try and get a turnaround is incapable of doing so, as he has a Nightmare on the hill.
Ziz rotating in as well here, together with the Io of Z-Freak, but not really going to find Phobos here. By the way, he's already level 6 and closing in on level 7. I feel like when it comes to, say, this early on in the game, sub 10 until the 15-20 minute mark, Phoenix is one of the absolute strongest heroes in the game. Heroes don't have that much attack speed. If you land key Fire Spirits, the Supernova is hard to deal with. The incredible mobility is not really counter-itemized just yet at that point. Of course, when you have a solo lane like this and you're doing well, it's pretty inevitable you get a fast level 11, and that is when Phoenix shines the absolute most, in my opinion. When you get that level 2 Supernova for the 8 attacks to destroy it. In some ways, the level 2 Supernova is often stronger than the level 3 in the sense that at the point you get it relative to the attack speed of the enemy team, it's actually often better than your level 16, because then enemies might have built like bigger items such as Akira's or just general attack speed. So I'm very curious to see Phobos' performance here. He definitely has everything going the way he would like in this early game.
Yeah, if he can just keep it up. Mumian just got to be also very careful again. Phobos just jumping around the edges. I don't know what Complexity is really trying to achieve here, especially as you now get the link going in to the Gyro. The Nightmare's instantly going to cancel this TP out, and Z-Freak, there's little he can do. In fact, he's probably going to die himself. That's 98 extra points of damage into the Razor, and he just beats the Wisp down. A double kill coming in on the virtus.pro, the whole team against Complexity. And this offlane for Complexity just doesn't seem to be working, but what's your second plan? Do you move him back? You've already got a Bristleback on the safe lane. Do you now shift him to the off?
I feel like they should have done that a while ago. I'm actually very surprised they're just accepting taking a beating with their Gyrocopter. This hero is incredible in this version. Has been doing so much work in all the games we've seen.
On top, they're going to jump over on Phobos to storm in, but then Nova will be coming up, and it's straight after Mumianda. But Swindlemelons, they don't have enough time to hit it. In fact, the stun will come out, and Phobos keeps the pressure up, diving in deep, and Storm Spirit, he's sticking out, and in fact, Carter ensures the kill on 2 heroes, taking out both Storm as well as Bristleback.
And to me, this just shows that Complexity don't have experience playing against this hero. When these 2 heroes, the Bristleback and the Storm, are hit by Fire Spirits right before he Supernovas, they can't destroy the egg on time. This is something you would know if you play against it quite a lot. And they actually tried to destroy the egg with those 2 and ended up dying both. If they immediately disengage there, they both live. This is a pretty major mistake out of Complexity at this point in time when, you know, their Bristleback is their only hero who's farmed, right? So for him to die as well now puts VP in a very good position. And as I was getting at, I feel like they should have rotated Moon Meander bottom way earlier. They can keep the Wisp with him if they want, or they could move the Io top 2 to protect the Gyrocopter in that lane so he gets farmed. This hero is so good right now, but we haven't really seen him playing from behind much. You generally just give him a safe lane, and no one, more or less, no one can contest him. Oh, now Z-Freak. Well, He wasn't supposed to rotate up there alone.
No, I was about to say you got half of your wish. You got the wisp, but without the gyro, because instead gyro moved into the mid lane to try and find some farm, which is now where VP, who are already so far ahead, like they prepared the trap on top, they push God up there, hiding inside the Invis rune to do the initiation. They give space to FNG, so they move the Song of the Siren timing up even more, and Bane, with his pulling, he's still just going to babysit Illidan, doesn't want to take anything away from the Razor, but he's also going to approach that level 6 in the next 1 to 2 minutes. So you add Fiend's Grip into the mix with so much control from virtus.pro, the complexity moving around, even Swindle's got Magic Wand and Poots on a 10-minute storm. There has to be more than this. Like there's Bottle, okay, Aroba Mashai is flying out in the courier at the moment, but that's basically all you're looking at. That's one very, considering the other Storm Spirits we've been seeing, including CTY's one yesterday, this is a very underleveled Storm.
Yeah, he is really not got the best start in this game. You know, complexity actually falling. They're not just behind 9-2, right? They're behind 9-2 and getting out-farmed in the lanes. Sometimes you can lose a couple kills early on, but still be looking good on your cores. I'm wondering what their plan B is. Their Storm is not doing well at all. He's trying to contest G a little bit here in the mid lane. Yeah, he should be successful. G doesn't have too much mana right now to take the fight there. Yeah. And most importantly, once again, Gyrocopter is really not doing so well in this game. And they could have set him up for it, right? They could have safe laned it and they would have definitely had good farm. Now it's understandable that they wanted to, at least early on with the lanes they were expecting, try to go there. But it's backfired. It's time for plan B. But what is it? I think they need a good Winter's Curse, honestly, to win a fight now.
It's Winter's Curse, it's finding all these stacks they farmed up, but at the same time, you're seeing a dewarding coming out from Fly. He really, he showed it yesterday in their series, and just showing it again now, keeping tabs on where virtus.pro is moving. Don't let him have a single inch if possible. So he'll deward up so they can have their range in camp again. And they're just going to try and flash farm. You got Bristleback, Storm Spirit in a way too, can flash farm up nicely. The Gyrocopter, obviously we know with Flat Cannon what he's capable of achieving. Just try and make the most out of the jungle. But by doing this now, it actually feels like they've moved completely off the lanes. No one's down on bottom. FNG's uncontested in mid. And Phobos is up where the tier 1 tower used to be, feeling immortal. In fact, he should as well, because he's got a Hand of Midas flying out to him, 12 minutes in, he's got Nova available, and no one from Complexity can really bring it down.
He's level 11, minute 11. This is the dream start. Okay, the dream start is getting more kills than one at this point. But apart from that, exceptional farm, 70 CS minute 12, having the Midas already. This is scary for Complexity, because in my opinion, they don't really have the best heroes against the Phoenix. A hero that can counter it would be the Storm with Orchid, so that you can jump in, engage, and bring it down, but Swindle is not even remotely close to that, and I think he's going to have to go for another item here, because the Orchid will flat out just be too late.
But what else can you really do? Like, what other item can you work into? At least having the Oblivion Stars to give him something. Like, what's the stopgap measure item on the Storm Spirit? Oh, Complexity. They walk directly into virtus.pro and the Song of the Siren, catching out 4 right now. FNG, that Sonic Wave from God's ready to go. They Nova to start. They're looking for the stun timing. There's your Sonic Wave. The Nova's about to hit the ground too with the Fiend's Grip control. Complexity, they're not going to find anything here. Swindle's actually burnt all of his mana. Fly dies a little bit low, but it's Illidan with a triple kill as Phobos turns up the heat on the Storm Spirit. But Complexity, it was like that smoke move was meant to be their upper hand, and they got smacked down by virtus.pro.
That song from FNG was just absolutely perfect. Line 4 heroes up. DK Phobos maybe using the Supernova a little bit late, but didn't even matter. Like they're so far ahead in these fights, even with a decent cooldown from Ziz, they just don't have the damage right now, and they can't fight into the Nova, so they have to disengage. VP run them down, triple kill for Illidan, already sitting on the mech. Now another 1,500 gold. Curious to see which direction he takes his build in here. He's running to the secret shop and we'll buy a point booster. Okay, so probably working on a fast Aghanim Scepter. Eyes on the prize, of course, pushing the base.
Looks like Complexity try to make the most of it while Nova is down and Sonic Wave is down. But you do have to remember, virtus.pro, they get a lot of farm up their sleeves, which means they're a lot stronger just by basic heroes, even without their abilities. But there's tier 1 towers taking considerable damage by Complexity. Swindle can't get close enough. Now they do. They actually get the curse off on Bane. They keep FNG in close, dragging him back. Storm Spirit still in the middle of this fight. They finally find the first pick off, but in fact it's going the way of virtus.pro. They've taken out 2. Illidan dropping down low, and the Gyro is a triple kill for God. Mumianda trying to run himself away too, but tower. And while they might have denied their own tier 1 tower, virtus.pro will do the same now. And Complexity are in a world of hurt.
This game is just getting out of control. In a way, it's kind of reminiscent of the second game Complexity had against EG yesterday, where they actually had a decent draft and they had the tools they needed to fight EG. They just got completely outmaneuvered and more importantly, in a lot of cases, outnumbered in the game yesterday, where it just seemed like EG had the better rotations and just the better game plan overall. This game is no different. virtus.pro, early game, they took really big advantage of the bottom lane situation they had, also winning the mid lane with G. It's hard to see any sort of bright future in this game for Complexity. They're down 17-4, no key farm on any hero that is very relevant here.
Bottom lane, Swindle. Lil, he was just out of range of getting the Fiend's Grip off, and then Illidan would just beat him down. But you're right, virtus.pro, they're in such a commanding position. This could be the fastest GG as we actually have a full pause. We were having a couple of problems at the start of our day, but hopefully we can get them sorted out nice and quick, but we lose every single player. But they're coming back in quick. But really, for virtus.pro, you look at them, like you get the Orchid over on Queen of Pain. This is an under 15-minute Orchid you've managed to achieve. You're talking about having like just more people, more abilities. Complexity now, the Storm Spirit can't really move. He's so far away. He said like maybe you look for the Orchid. Maybe now he's actually going to look for a Eul Scepter so he doesn't get like controlled from the very start, and then do something. I don't know. It's a rough position for Complexity. They don't have the damage. The tank ability is there. At least like they do still have like Wyvern's control, and maybe that's what it can come down to. A good curse.
Yeah.
Like, is there any fight where a curse can win it for you?
Oh, the further ahead the enemy team is, the stronger the heroes are, and they turn on each other. So I mean that's pretty decent, right? I would agree though. They have to get a good winner's curse, and they have to combine it with call down. And I just haven't seen that teamfight combo very well executed from Complexity so far. It's the only play, I think. Storm, as you said, had to go for Eul's. His aggressive potential is extremely limited. Their damage overall is limited, so they're going to need the enemy team to deal the damage for them. The question is who you want to curse. That's another problem, because VP has actually counterpicked that pretty decently with the Bane. You curse someone, if Bane is not in the curse, you can just Nightmare the cursed target, and, I mean, pretty much keeps it safe.
You're right. We're back up again. So short pause, but all the players went in. They're all good to go now. Z-Freak, okay, wow, that's not a happy world for him. He's going to die inside the Roche pit, or is he? It's the Invis rune. You can't tell it because he's a Wisp. And then he'll get himself away. Bottle Shard is back up again so he can survive. Swindle has to jump away again, but 10-1 charge is the only way he gets his mana back. In fact, he just burns everything to get back to the tier 2 tower. They're going to give up bot lane.
Yeah, there's no sign of defense here from Complexity. virtus.pro will very easily claim this on top lane. Gyro putting on a little bit of pressure here, but has to retreat as
I think little is the right word.
Come in for Naga FNG.
Even FNG, like he's walking around with a medallion. With these tier 1, tier 2 towers dropping for Complexity, they're going to lose control of Roshan as well. Like a Storm jump in. In fact, actually, should VP even think about Roshan? Because that's one way Complexity could get back in. You put yourself in a very small area. Storm Spirit could potentially steal Aegis the Immortal. Is this something they should even worry about? Or they just build into Aghanims, push the high ground, and then just take Complexity's racks? End this game and forget about the big man. Is that another way they could go?
I just think there are so many approaches for virtus.pro here. Getting Roshan is always what you want to do, just to play it safe. I don't really think at this point in time that they would necessarily need it, but why not? The problem is, of course, their lineup isn't the best at killing Roshan, so maybe they just take a convincing team fight like the last one with the Song of the Siren, and if they win it like they did the last, that should be enough to push it out. Swindle, yeah.
There's that Orchid into Sonic Wave. He's going to pop from this. Z-Freak's trying to keep him alive just long enough, but the Orchid damage is more than enough. Wisp able to TP himself away to safety from inside the trees. The Planter Field will reveal this fact.
Smoke wasn't even needed. Now top lane again. Gyrocopter going to work. Lil's going to pour it in with Grip. Yeah, this is...
he's going to check out early from his work as Lil just holds him in position with the Fiend's Grip. Bane does still take the last attack, but Phobos and Illidan team up together. Complexity, they're just trying to buy themselves some space on the lanes, but we're at a point right now where VP, they keep coming in with extra numbers. It's 2-on-1 almost every single time, because Complexity is just so spaced across the map. They're trying to pull farm out of almost everywhere that they're getting nothing from it. They're losing too much for what they're pulling in.
The good news from Complexity, of course, is that they have decent vision around the mid lane, so it opens up, gives them quite a bit of intel having the 3 wards that they do around that mid area. Wasn't good enough for Gyro to be completely safe, but of course that's the risk. When you push the tower, it doesn't matter how good vision you have. If you don't see them TPing you, you won't really know what's coming. Bane did find a way in there as well, so Complexity will have to try to slow play this and hope for a mistake from VP. Essentially, there's kind of no other play to make here. Their chances at an aggressive play are very, very limited. Most of the times at this point in time, I would advise a team to go for, you know, just a smoke, try to find a team fight and take that. I don't even know if that's enough. Like, VP have to be positioned in a very specific way for them to be able to lose the fight. Actually, they are dodging fights. This is a nice play, actually. Rotating toward the bottom lane, they're pressuring it with Swindle.
Yeah, but look at FNG, he TPs down, gets the Song of the Siren, catching out 3 heroes, moving up higher, so she sees the Gyro as well as the Y, but here Phoenix instantly into the Nova, the relocate, trying to save and drag him just a little bit further away from the fight, and they do bring down Phoenix, but the Gyrocopter, how much damage have he got up against Illidan when he's stolen 196 points of damage, looking to turn it back into Moomiander, and Illidan standing his ground, but this now for Complexity, they get a triple kill on the Bristleback with the Wisp babysitting him out. That's what Complexity needed to get back in this game.
This was the absolute best play they could make in the situation. I didn't have time to say it because the song came out, but since the last 2 times Gyro was picked up both times top, or at least once, right? He got killed top by the Bane. They make a similar play with Moon Meander in the bottom lane split pushing, and the other heroes smoke in, and VP TP down to try to defend their tower after claiming the top one, but the time it takes for the heroes to TP in and they get in delayed, the song is already wearing off, and Complexity get into a good position, and the relocate from Zfree there, making a very big difference in order to keep Swindle safe and win them that fight. Was that 4 for 1?
That was 5 for 1. That was the whole shebang, man. They lost everything, really. Oh, sorry, no, you're at fault, Lil. Swindle, Storm Spirit, almost dying to Roshan, and now the Fiend's Grip, it just keeps him back, but I realize Roshan, he's fairly low, and Complexity, I suppose it's the downside. You just want a team fight. You don't really have much more to work around with, and especially don't have damage.
Neither team is really good at taking Roshan right now, so Complexity will probably regret even trying for that one. They do not have, I believe they don't have a medallion, at least it looks like they don't. And
they don't.
Yeah, Bristleback's Goo is nice, but it's level 2. Their hero is not really particularly farmed, and of course Gyro more of a spread damage carry than a single target one, so not the fastest carry at killing Roshan. Kind of like the only weakness the hero has, apart from limited mobility, of course.
Complexity in a really good position here. There's still no Song of the Siren. It's on cooldown for another minute. But there's a loop around behind the Observer and Sentry Ward, and they drop down their own one. God's gonna be the first man moving over as the entire team. Swindle jumping in first. They do get that embrace on his God. Almost down, blinks away to safety. He'll survive this. The Phoenix though, the egg, he cannot get the stun off. The Sonic Wave hitting hugely from God, but the damage is actually being done here by Complexity. Illidan controlled, and they embrace up again the Gyrocopter. It is 3 hero kills they get the pickoffs for, and nothing of value was lost for Complexity.
He must have missed a lot of his Fire Spirits on the Phoenix, or they must have been on cooldown there, because it seemed like no one from Complexity had lost their attack speed. They very quickly were able to destroy the Supernova. They're making a really big comeback here. I actually can't believe that these fights are going so poorly for virtus.pro, but their combinations of abilities they're just not landing them well enough. And the Winter's Curse there from Fly didn't even get them a straight kill on the Queen of Pain. She managed to blink out, get a Sonic Wave off, and they still win the fight. And this time, they get the Roshan. 5,000 gold suddenly on Moon Meander, sitting with his Vanguard. Should have some other key items coming out. I think Ziz is making a full comeback here with his Gyrocopter. I guess he's pretty close to SNY together with his drums, if that is the direction he wants to go in, and just right-clicks on SNY, Moon Meander. Okay.
I think we have a game again. So
yeah, we really have a game again.
Initially, it was, okay, well, maybe going to be fastest GG and all, but you had almost a 10,000 experience advantage. You did have a 12,000 net worth advantage, and this is down to 1K and 3K respectively. Complexity have managed to work their way in, and now you can see the next stage of items arrive. The damage can start to arrive. As you said, Gyrocop's going to go on for the S and Y. He'll get there eventually. I am still a little concerned for the fact that Complexity is running around with only one small disable, and that's going to be the Yule Scepter. So if this Nova does kick off, they won't have a good way to get out or a good way to control a VP before it actually happens. But every time, like the last two fights Phobos has thrown it out, you're right with the Fire Spirits. Complexity, it just looked like it was too easy for them to get rid of it. At the same time, would you also say Dennis Phobos trying to go for a huge Nova right in the middle of Complexity and allowing Complexity just to stand their ground and bring it down?
Yeah, he might have been a little bit too ambitious there. And of course, what VP can always do in that situation is that they can drop the Supernova and they can use Song of the Siren at the same time. And it's just a really good setup to guarantee that the Nova gets off. Of course, you do not get the burn damage during it, but you set up for a nice AoE stun. You get off your second set of spirits as well. Icarus died. Yeah, Fly's in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, he's just going to try and TP out, and this is the point when Lil can not get there in time. Meanwhile, it was actually on bottom lane that Storm Spirit kills off the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, G was trying to kill the Gyrocopter there, or at least let out all of his abilities here, but Io keeping Zizi safe. The rotation down from Swindle. He is coming back in this game. Like, this Storm Spirit was pretty much a non-factor, and now he has Yules. He's almost got Bloodstone as well, minute 24. I mean, it's not the greatest timing, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, Complexity are going to be very happy with that situation.
They bring down the biggest core that's in the game right now, and they keep looking for more. As you see Swindle having a bit of a walk over. You'll see a TP actually behind the tower. FNG, you did not want to come in there. Z-Freak will give the support, and FNG can't even get the Song of the Siren off with a call down as well from the Gyro. They're isolating out the rest of virtus.pro. Illidan TP'd in as well in the Fiend script, controlling up the Storm Spirit. They need to break it free right now. The Rocket Barrage going into the Razor. Illidan dropping low with a relocate, trying to pull the Storm now. Couldn't do it, wasn't far enough away. And now you still see them go. The curse, the perfect position. virtus.pro's in huge amounts of trouble. They have to back up that weather Complexity. They might bite a more they can chew with a double kill from God. The perfect Sonic Wave. They'll move into the Nova, but God still on the back of the Bristleback. Running away, moving over, in fact. Queen of Pain blinking forward, chasing up Z-Freak. The TP up, there's no more stuns, but the damage is enough. The gem is dropped and regathered up by the Queen of Pain, and Complexity giving a triple kill to the Queen of Pain. As Moon Meander, the only man to survive as he runs away.
This fight is very different because of the amount of commitment that Complexity put onto the Naga in the start. Jumping in with the Storm, using a lot of mana, and ultimately, Razor just stayed alive really long in that fight as well. This time the Supernova manages to explode, and of course that is exactly what you're looking for as VP now. DK Phobos, speaking of the Phoenix, hit level 16 and got a Shiva's Guard. This makes his Supernova so much harder to hit, and if you remember, I said earlier in the game that a lot of the time when you get level 3 Supernova, it's kind of weaker than the level 2 relative to the state of the game. But this time around, Complexity's heroes, I don't think they have the necessary attack speed. This will be more powerful, and of course the minus 45 attack speed aura from the Shiva's Guard is active while you're in the Supernova, so it's going to be difficult for Complexity to deal with.
They gotta find a way to do it. They managed to find 2 ways to deal with it. Let's kill it up before it even begins. And Swindle, what do you actually think about this again? Because we're looking at a Bloodstone build coming in from the Storm Spirit. Is this what you want to see, something like this? Or do you look for something else? Like, I'd always say like just like a BKB, because you're still going to have issues with Ensnare, and I suppose you got jumped away anyway. But do you look for like survivability? Do you look for more disable? Or is it just going to be the Bloodstone is the best option? He's doing it anyway, so the discussion might be a little bit mute.
I definitely agree with Bloodstone and Storm in this case to build yourself up for a late game, because this one, Complexity, even though they've had a couple of good fights, he needs to come back.
Mumianda running in. He wants to burn the Aegis to the Immortal here.
Oh, he will, probably.
He's going to give a little bit of damage over to Illidan while doing it, but he's still getting a lot of Core Spray stacks over on Razor, and there goes your Aegis burn.
Oh, damn, that was just in time. It was about to expire. It expired now. If VP would have paid attention to it, they might have just set it up.
Are they Song of the Siren out of here? FMG actually with the movement. You've got Wisp as well as Gyro here. Turns on the call down with the Fiend script. They'll bring down the Gyro. virtus.pro read the situation perfectly. The relocate will help save one, but that's going to be all. Wyvern puts himself under while Swindle has to Yule Scepter himself away a little bit further. Safety for Phobos. Try and burn down Swindle. He'll be able to jump himself back into base. But the Gyro as well as the Wyvern dropping him. Now that Aegis burn, which VP read as a bait from Complexity, ends up turning around on them.
this gyro is just not tanky enough yet. It's 28 minutes in and he has SNY drums only. And, you know, it was way worse a moment ago for Complexity. They made a pretty good comeback in the last 5 to 10 minutes. But now VP seem like they're switching back into serious mode here. Finding some good fights. The Naga song into Supernova is so good if you set it up properly, and this time around, once again, I feel like that's what decides the fights. It's about, do we get Supernova off? Yes, okay, then you win the fight. If you don't, well, you kind of lose it. And all the other factors are, of course, playing in. Like, it's not like those are the two only heroes, but it seemed to be the defining factor for the last couple of team fights.
Well, Phobos is going to get himself into a position where he should be able to get off. It's just that whole denial of it. He's now got a refresher orb, a perseverance going into what should probably be a Lincoln Sphere. Would that be the best protection here? Or at least for the Phoenix? Because he's got his normal build. Like, we've actually not the full normal build. Normally he goes for the Yule Scepter into a Shiva's Guard, but got the Shiva's Guard a little bit early for the team fight, and now has the perseverance.
I hope it's a refresher. This is my favorite build to play on Phoenix. I think it's incredibly powerful. If you have a lineup where you can rely on getting the Supernova off, you just get another one, right? It's kind of crazy to think how impactful the Supernova is that you can use it twice.
BKB gonna go with a cooldown. virtus.pro, they don't have Song on the Siren. It's 2 seconds until it comes off cooldown, but they find the gyro, but they need a stun. They don't have one. The TP out just in time.
Oh, well,
now is VP. Yeah, they just turn on the smoke. They're trying to catch out Complexity as they're running away. You get that bonus movement speed from the smoke. But Fly's the only one who's really nearby. They might be able to catch before it gets back to base. Unless someone hangs around a little bit too long. The Wisp as well as it back, farming up at the moment. FNG, now just going to blink it, go for the Orchid, and they evaporate the Wisp. A little overcommittal with the Sonic Wave, but a kill nonetheless.
Glimmer Cape is not going to save you from Sunray and Sonic Wave. Very, very easy kill. And it's one of the reasons Queen of Pain is so good against IO. It's not just the mobility and the fact that you, of course, have burst damage, but it's the type of damage. Every IO these days goes for a Glimmer Cape at some point in their build. It's one of the best items for keeping you safe. Even if the enemy has detection, you can negate a lot of damage, and you don't only have the negation from that, you also
don't
have
want to be here, Swindle. There's your jump away.
Barely.
It's the Observer Ward that's up near the secret shop, which is watching him closely, and in fact, Fly thinks there's the Observer Ward on the hillside. That's why he threw down the Sentry Ward.
Well, if a G goes for the song, he catches him.
And that means, well, where is Bane? Is he close enough? Lil's coming up. He's going to go directly into the grip to catch the Storm Spirit out. In fact, they just hex him up. They control him, and that Storm Spirit just evaporated out. Move Meander also instead. He cannot run away from this one. The Nova's going to go again, just on the edge of the Prospect, burning him while the Fiend's grip holds him in position. God will pick up another double kill. And virtus.pro, well, they're ready to go high ground. Like, they don't have Nova. But the gyro, as you said before, he's not tanky enough to really defend against virtus.pro.
They still need to push into a Wyvern. That's always difficult. And I think there's no mech on the Radiant side. There's not. So no mech, no pipe pushing into a Wyvern is kind of scary. Of course, they know that the Winter's Curse wasn't used either. And the moment you high ground against that, it can get risky. So I think good play call here from virtus.pro to take their win. Get out. Storm, of course, respawning fast as well because of that Bloodstone. So they managed to remove 3 of Swindle's charges on that one. They're just back to farming. G is getting really big. Like, if you look at the net worth, he is super far ahead. He's 5,000 ahead of the second hero, who, by the way, is the Phoenix, who has overtaken the Razor of VP in this game. DK Phobos is extremely rich, and, you know, when you're rolling like this, I really do think Refresher is the build. See how impactful the Supernova is. If it doesn't break the first time, it's just an auto-win team fight, right? They can't. And sometimes in the late game, even if the Supernova explodes, you can keep taking the fight because the damage starts getting less and less important. But you got 2 of them, no way. You can't ignore 2 Supernovas in a row.
It's just so rough for virtus.pro, for Complexity. And virtus.pro, they've got even Queen of Pain. Like, you're ticking every box you want to have on a Queen of Pain. You got the Aghanim Scepter to clean up the wave. You've even got an initial disable, which is going to be your Orchid. You get now the secondary and the bigger disable, which is the Scythe of Vice, and building into an Octarine core, which is going to make all of these items even better later on. Not to mention the every 30-second ultimate, which Queen of Pain will then have.
I should correct myself, by the way. I said there's no mech on VP's side. Of course, there's no Razor. I don't know. I must have looked at every other Razor, but yeah, they do have one. So maybe they could have considered the high grounding with the mech, but they still played it safe. And regardless, I think it was the right play in the moment there from VP. Now they're trying to go for the big boy.
Yeah, take out Roshan, grab the Aegis Immortal. They're going to lose a tier 2 tower for it, but it's kind of like the standard trade also. Like, you might lose a tier 2 tower, but for the Aegis Immortal, you're going to get more. You're going to get that second life to help you take the high ground. up against Complexity. And they can grab a tier 2 tower of their own later on. That tier 2 on bottom lane of Complexity is already fairly injured. So they're going to group up in the mid. The Naga Siren takes care of top. Where's she got? Is that? Yeah, up there. She bounces. Going to move quickly. Ziz getting hexed up. You still have that Orchid available. No BKB in the relocate save out. Takes him all the way back to base now. There's not much help. Swindermelon's in the neighborhood. But coming in and trying to save the Wisp
All right,
won't
make
help.
your guess. How long does he live?
I'm not going to guess that one. With the tether away, he's going to live a very long time. Or maybe not the Sonic Wave and TP out. He's actually going to live a very, very long time.
They had no detection. They had such a long time to set up, but 0 detection on the Radiant side. Of course, Naga has the gem, but I guess she wasn't in the neighborhood. Or they just weren't quick enough to react with the Hex there. Wow, I cannot believe he actually got out of that one. That looked like it was going to be an easy kill, but great positioning there from Complexity to help him get out of trouble. Escape there with the IO.
He's going to keep out of trouble. Fly does not want to come up here and throw down this Observer Ward because God's just so close. Starts with the Orchid, and then again, the detection is too far away. Naga Siren was a little bit behind. The illusions are out in the map, but they're currently in mid and bot lane.
These Glimmer Capes are really doing work for Complexity right now. It's possible that virtus.pro will get frustrated and just get another piece of True Sight, or take the Gem of Naga and put it on another hero. It's just so great on Naga because the mirror images, of course, carry the True Sight as well, so it's very easy to de-ward the entire map.
But at the same time, you can always just switch it back and forward if you need to.
Yes, and the problem is Naga is not generally in the center of the fight. She wants to be on the outskirts to be able to use songs, so when it comes to the fights themselves, there's a better gem carrier in, for example, the Phoenix or in the Queen of Pain in particular.
They catch up Moomiander, Fly in the neighborhood, and FNG's going to walk up so we can get a good vision about what is happening here. And the Bristleback, well, actually, they're going to try and separate, but again, the relocate save out. Right in time for Z-Freak and Complexity. There's no way for virtus.pro to find these picks. They keep getting the disengage out when virtus.pro commit heavily with their ultimates. But they will have a double one. It is the refresher build coming in from the Phoenix. But right now, the Song of the Siren, like, is this even the way to go? You keep using FNG's ulti to initiate when you see just one hero. But at the same time, then you try and push into Complexity, and you don't have Song of the Siren available as that get out of jail free card.
I think they were just looking for more than one hero, right? They go for the song on the Bristle and they hope the other heroes are in a good position behind. And VP actually played it smart there. FNG walking up into the Radiant, into the Dire base, sorry, set up for an Orchid. Moomiander is really far up, he's alone, and this time there's no IO to save him.
Yep.
It's pretty fast though.
You got a Storm Spirit behind it. The slow does not work. In fact, Storm's going to jump in. Swindle going to be set up in the air by his own Yorse, buying a little bit more space. As Illidan, he's actually out of mana, turns on the BKB. The Isle of Storm is doing some work, but he's got no real solid damage. Now the Nova's going to come in from Phoenix. Fly so low, he can't embrace anymore. God, the curse was there, and Illidan's dropped so low too. Illidan's going to fall. Swindle on the front lines here. We're still the other two cores of Complexity. Diego's Immortal pops. That's why we now see a secondary God. But Moomiander so low, but the Sun Ray from Phoenix reaching up just far enough. The Glimmer Capes again. The Urn Charge is ticking down on the journey. Just gets the TP out in time. Away to safety. Z-Freak's also going to be able to do so right underneath Phobos. There was no secondary stun, no disable. And Complexity get a 2-2 trade-off with that initiation from VP.
And there we go. Phobos just got a pretty nice big item here.
It's that refresher.
Yeah.
Up and running. And this game is just turned around so many times. 2 times did virtus.pro have over a 10,000 net worth advantage going their way. And this is the second time where Complexity, if they got a better hand that fight, they could have just pulled it straight back down again. The experience is just going up and down. This is your perfect game of ping pong.
I'm really happy to see Phobos going for this build. I feel like it's underutilized in competitive Dota, getting the refresher. Of course, you could say it makes the hero a little bit one-dimensional, where you could say the alternative, you could have got a Hex, you could have got an Orchid, you know, you get some sort of utility item, but is there really any more utility in one item than having a second Supernova if you can rely on getting the first one off? I just feel like it's such an incredible pickup, and I hope we get to see it in action here, making a big difference.
I'm fairly certain you will. Because right now, also, well, Bristleback, he's picked up an Assault Cuirass. But virtus.pro, like, are they almost on a timing here? Like, you look at it for their lineup, this game can go pretty late with their lineup, because you even move Naga into a called position, even though FNG is not built for that at all. Is Complexity strong enough that they can take this game, like, beyond 55, 60 minutes?
Complexity's super late game is really, really good. Wyvern is one of the best late game supports. I would say Io is incredible as well, just for the ability to split push, overcharge, gets
long jump. Swindle going up to FNG. The Yule sets her up. That was from Swindle trying to cancel the animation to get the ulti off and buy time for the rest of his team to arrive. They get the pick on virtus.pro.
And that was a gem too, right? Was he still carrying it? It's a gem over in the Io now. Let's see. That is FNG's.
Yep.
Yep.
Lost the gem. God's going to come for a little bit more, however. Moving forward, and in the trees is the Storm Spirit. He sees everything because of that static remnant jumping out, controlling up Lil. Again, we see these Glimmer Capes going to work from both teams. There's Mumiander going into the trees there with Fly. And Complexity can't find an opening, and they're not going to TP out. They both have them, but they don't want to. They're waiting around a little bit longer here, Complexity, because the rest of them have arrived. Complexity, they're ready to jump, and they found one. It's Illidan. The curse is there. Razor's going to drop down, and Storm Spirit, Swindle's going in deeper. He's going to Yule Scepter up with the Phoenix. Remember, you got double Nova. He's in the middle of their team. They can easily get rid of this egg. It is a suicide Nova at this point, as Complexity have 3 players from virtus.pro in the grave. Now push into the tier 2 tower, the creep wave will arrive, so the backdoor regen turns off. And Complexity, they've got the strength and probably the momentum to push up, maybe force a buyback. But then again, it's not available.
Yeah.
There's no buyback.
They're probably getting Elena Rax here, actually. This is unbelievable. And, you know, you really don't want to do it in this situation for the Phoenix, but I think you should have refreshed and gone for the Icarus dive away. The Supernova like that in the middle of 5 heroes when you have absolutely no Fire Spirits out, it's not going to get off. And then your refresher isn't that great anyway, right? If this is the kind of situation they get into, refresher is not good. Well, the reason they got into it, I'm actually really surprised because virtus.pro chose to go for Moon Meander. G plopped his Sonic Wave and everything in the back of Moon Meander, and it just runs away. He doesn't care. He barely got scratched by it. Complexity here with a big win, getting out unscathed. They got 2 key kills. They got melee barracks. And they suddenly have a Hex on Swindle out of nowhere.
He's got somehow, and in 10 Bloodstone charges, Complexity have fighting items. They have a Gyro with a huge amount of damage. Not only the Monkey King bar, but now 3.5k gold. You can go into your next big item. Maybe we even have to start looking at VP saying, where is their physical damage going to come from? You might have the Octarine Core, but if there's a Butterfly on the Gyro and Wisp helps him survive the initial attack, how do you even damage him? Look at that swing back down again. Repairing the gold deficit, and actually for the first time in 38 minutes, the advantage goes the way of Complexity in the gold. They had the experience for such a short moment.
This is such a weird gold grab. How often do you see that?
Not very often. This is swingers, man.
Want to mention that G went for the Octarine Core, and this is so in contrast to the Octarine Core yesterday that I disagreed with from Swindle Melons against EG. This time G is getting the Octarine Core after having both Orchid and Hex. So now the cooldown reduction on the Octarine is going to be incredibly valuable in the fights, being able to use both Hex and Orchid way more frequently, of course, with the 25% cooldown reduction. And, I'm curious to see where he goes next, because I somehow feel like Complexity will not be able to win this game very soon. Oh, wait, wow. Oh, okay.
Is he scouting the smoke by doing that? Because he breaks the smoke by doing it.
Yeah, looks like that was the plan.
He was sitting on top of a hill for a very long time, waiting for VP to come. There's one way to find out where the enemy are. There's now Complexity actually flies, checking out Roshan. You might notice there's just a casual bottle sitting inside the pit, but you'll also notice too that virtus.pro, they've now reached the tier 3 tower in the mid lane. The bottom lane is pushing in quite nicely for Complexity. This will take care of the range tracks while this fight goes on. That's if virtus.pro really want to try and take it. And Storm Spirit, they're just cleaning up the creep wave for the moment, looking for some kind of attack. Lil was thinking he could get the Phoenix to pop over on Swindle, but Illidan burning through a large amount this time of the Eye of the Storm, even getting a bash from Mumiander over on Illidan. There's that lane on bottom, hitting into the range racks, and now I think VP have realized they're just losing too much for so little gain. I think by the time this TP completes, the wave actually being pulled away to the range creep. And that's the reason why that range rack will remain alive, but 134 life on it. Complexity moved down. Roshan, he's still got another minute before it comes back to come up. But they can move out of their base freely, and it will be the Butterfly build for the Gyro. Where are you headed?
Lurking here.
He's watching FNG. FNG instantly hexed up, but once again, they're going to lose this Naga Siren. No buyback for a minute. They have a 1 minute window opportunity. Roshan's 30 seconds away, but right now Complexity, they're not just looking for an Aegis, they want tier 2 and potentially tier 3 tower. They don't know that FNG doesn't have a buyback, because he bought the Vladimir's offering, that's why he's so low on money.
I think they can easily lose a 4 and 5 in the enemy base, or a 5 on 4 rather.
Sonic
This
Wave.
lineup is so good at holding high ground if they get a good Supernova. I'm talking a lot about this Phoenix. I know that. It's one of my favorite heroes to play, and it's extremely good for situations like this. And Call are just going to respect it. Like, even if they knew Naga didn't have buyback, I actually think they would have gone back anyway. The risk of the good Phoenix engage with Shivas and Double Egg would have been a pretty big chance to take here.
Z-Free is going to be very happy. He waited an extra 2 or 3 seconds in the Roche pit, and Roshan spawned when he went for the scout. So Complexity get in on this really fast. This is Aegis as well as Cheese going to come the way of their team. And VP, they're moving up, but the Tyrant Server Ward is also watching their maneuver. And Complexity will be ready for him. In fact, now VP now that Roshan's gone down, they don't even try it. They just let it go.
This is a really interesting stat. G's current GPM, 16 out of 18 games. When you have this farm Queen of Pain at this time, it's been victories, so.
At the same time, he's the only person farmed on his team.
That is a thing that was not included in the stat book right there.
Yes. It's a bit of a problem when, yes, get a whole bunch of money, he had a great run. They're still 14-9 over on the Queen of Pain, so God's found so many of the pickups. But you've got Phoenix, as you were saying, the second highest net worth for the Radiant side, but his Novas right now, he can't even get through the first one based on the positioning. So Phobos' impact, all this money doesn't really count for much if you can't reach that second Nova. And then Razor, well, he's tanky, he can help push up, but we're at a point now where the Bristleback
base will just go up and tank the tower with Bristle, and he has a cheese. Oh, actually, never mind. Who did they give the cheese to? They gave it to Io, I suppose, yeah. So they have an Io with cheese, which is a little bit surprising for me. He has 1,000 max health. I think at this point it would be better to put it on the Bristle. If he could drop an item, he could give the gem to someone else and carry it himself. Of course, they have the Aegis on the Storm Spirit of Swindle.
It's kind of interesting to see they do put the gem on the Bristle, because what's he looking for? Like, you're not looking for any kind of invis hero. You don't have anyone who is in fact an invis hero. The only one would be the Glimmer Cape effect from Lil.
They just know Moon is going to be in the center of the fight. So if any Glimmer Cape gets used, it's the best way to scout it out here. So he's probably the best hero to have it on, but then you need to consider like the pros and cons of him not having cheese. I would personally put it on him. Because the problem is using the cheese on Wisp effectively is difficult, because you need to drop low on health first, and it sets you up, makes you pretty vulnerable for Queen of Pain to just blow you up, and at the same time you might be forced to use it a little bit too early and not heal so much as you would like.
And virtus.pro really want to go out and try and find a fight. They spent the last minute or so hovering around the north lane, but then on bottom you just saw the push coming in from Fly, just one splinter. That's all he needs to do. That pushes the creep wave in, and virtus.pro, they're forced to come back, reveal their position to Complexity. And that means Complexity can just do whatever they want. Remember, we still have this Aegis the Immortal, so Swindle's got a license to die right now against virtus.pro. And this Bristleback needs to start stacking up. Get the Warpath stacks, and in fact Swindle jumping over on Illidan. The damage being removed right now, and Illidan's going to hit pretty hard, especially when you get the Fiend Script over on that Bristleback. He needs a life, and the relocate does come in. They pull him out, in fact taking him all the way back to base, so they can heal up on the Bristleback. Sentry Ward's down this time around Citron. They don't want to fall for the Glimmer Cape tether away. And in fact, yeah, it's not going to work this time. They commit both Orchid and Sonic Wave. They go for more. They actually find the Bristleback. He came in, but Swindle looking to make even more space. With that cooldown, Illidan's on the Grace position. But he's dealing so much damage from the Bristleback under the cover of Song on the side. Well, this is actually number 2 on the Nova. The hit's going to come in, and so much damage, Illidan can't do any of it. Swindle comes up with a BKB. They get themselves out. FNG, he's in real trouble. Swindle's behind him. The damage is enough. Complexity, they only lose the Wisp, but now they look to take the second lane of Rax. And maybe more. Race got buyback. Naka does not. And Swindle, he needs mana, but he's still got the Aegis. More of the Sonic Wave spills out. And Gyro not too healthy here, but they take out the tower and push the Bristleback to the front lines.
VP are going to have to buy back Illidan if they want to hold this, I think.
Do they have enough? No Sonic Wave for 15 seconds. I think you're right with the call down to the backstorm just jumping in. Illidan still refusing to buy it back. Phobos, they try and push him back with the Glimmer Cape. They're able to do so, but the Bristleback is still there. Nightmare's up, the melee Rax drops, and Complexity get what they wanted, but they may go for more. That Wisp is back here again, Swindle jumping forward. They're looking for the pickoff, and there's the Bane up in the air, and then the Orca, though. Swindle can't really do much more at this point, as he gets hexed up as well. The Sonic Wave, Swindle's gonna pop! No immortality for him, as now the Bristleback, Nightmare, they need more control. No, actually, there is mana for a Fiend Strip. He's got 13 one-chances available, but with the Gyro moving the front lines, they're really not sure about this. That TP, it's FNG, Ensnare, holding the Bristleback in position. God also moving forward. Again, no Hexman. Now the Gyro turning his attack towards Illidan. Do they have enough control with a call down position? It's too much damage. virtus.pro are in large trouble. They lose one, fall back instantly. In fact, so will the Queen of Pain. Illidan's going to drop again the buyback on all 3 of their cores here. They can do so. And God, jumping up, he needs to slow this down with a Sonic Wave, but Wisp still not dead, keeping the Bristleback buffed up. As God, now the curse comes in from Fly. They control the Queen of Pain. There's going to be a dieback right now. As Swindle goes in deeper, looking for Phobos. A double dieback. Complexity, could they push it even further? Swindle still with a decent amount of mana, but Illidan back the front lines. He'll buy back. They don't have the Hex at the moment, but then Song of the Siren, stopping the fun for the moment. The Nova, the setup again. It's a point blank. This one should be able to connect. Storm jumping forward, however, they want the kill. There's a Nova hit with the Fiend Grip. Mumiena, he can't do anything. Illidan, however, Swindle can do it all. Right over the top of him. Phobos also going to go down into FNG. It's one up the other. It's Dark Cut. It's Complexity taking game number 1 up against virtus.pro after what was one of the most turbulent gold net worth swings we've seen in TI5 so far. Whew. How was that a game, Syndred? It was meant to end about 15 minutes. virtus.pro had such an advantage twice.
They looked like they had a lot of miscommunication with what they wanted to do in the fights. The whole synergy that they built up early in the fights just didn't carry over into the mid-late game. And for example, you just see it in the super late game here. Queen of Pain goes in, and when G dies for the second time, Illidan buys back. Why are they not fighting together instead? And they go like 1 by 1. They aren't completely sure what the play call is. It's gotta be really harsh for VP and hard to pull themselves back up for the second game, but you know, they got to do it.
They have to try. They'll have some moments out the side for now. Let's throw it back to the panel to get the thoughts.